subtle insects trespassing on my domain! Your arrogance will be purged in living flame!
Hey, I'm Michelia from wowhead.com, and I'm going to be showing you some PTR coverage on this channel over the next few weeks. Today on the PTR we got a chance to test out Ragnaros, who was actually the last boss of Firelands. Unfortunately, he was only available in normal 10-man mode, so we had to split into two groups. This video will have two perspectives because of this. The first perspective will be myself, who is a holy paladin, and the second perspective will be Ballo, who is a DPS warrior in my guild. This fight has 3 phases on normal mode. Let's talk about the first phase, Phase 1. The first ability to watch out for is Magma Trap. Ragnaros periodically forms magma traps at random players' locations. As you can see on my right, one was just formed. These function a lot like shadow traps from Heroic Lich King if you've done that encounter. If you trigger one, you take initial spell damage and then are flung up into the air, where you subsequently take a lot of fall damage when you land. That said, it doesn't knock you off the platform and the damage wasn't too bad, so we did trigger a few intentionally. We did this because they persist throughout the phase, so it's kinda nasty to have a bunch up. You can accidentally step on them in later phases when there's a lot more damage and cause a lot of grief. The next ability to watch out for is Sulfuras Smash. Ragnaros will face a random player and smash down his hammer onto the platform. You'll want to get out of there because the impact will create several lava waves. As you can see, he's about to cast it right there. You can see how there's a fire patch that just glows. The lava waves spread out, and if you get hit by them, you'll take additional damage. The only other things to watch out for this phase are don't be in melee range if you're a ranged caster, because he does silence and punt you back, as you can see. Also don't stand near other people, because you'll occasionally take damage from him, and if you're next to someone, they'll take the damage too. Phase 2 begins at 70% health when Ragnaros casts Splitting Blow. He throws Sulfuras onto the platform and spawns Sons of Flames while he submerges himself. These Sons of Flame have one goal in mind, and that is to reach the hammer. If they reach the hammer, they'll wipe the raid. You can actually technically take one Sun exploding, but any more than that you'll definitely wipe, and there's no need to take the damage. It's easy to kill them. The Suns aren't snareable, but you can stun them if you're desperate. They also have a speed buff for every health percentage they have over 50%, so what you want to do is have your melee DPS them down to 50%, and then switch to another one that's over 50%. As you can see, Ballo's charging them after he gets 1 to 50%. They don't have much health, so they die very quickly, and Phase 2 officially begins. Phase 2, Ragnaros keeps Sulfuras Smash and the lava waves they make, but he loses magma traps. Remember though, if you have any up from Phase 1, they will persist throughout the fight, so you should deal with them as soon as possible if any are remaining. The glowing orbs that just spawned are molten seeds. Molten seeds spawn infernos after 10 seconds, so when they're thrown down, you just want to run to the other side of the platform. Once on the other side, you want to group up. The infernos will slowly come. You can't tank them, but they don't hit for very much, and the goal is just to AoE them down. Since they don't have a lot of health, and they don't hit for very much, this shouldn't take long. You want to keep doing this, because this will keep repeating, so you want to get them down as soon as possible so you can get DPS into Rag so you can push them to Phase 3. The only other thing to watch out for is World in Flames. Ragnaros will engulf 1/3 of the platform in flame, and if you stand in the flame, you die. Fire is bad, we all know that. You can see it in the video occasionally, it'll be in the background. So to recap, Phase 2 is all about the molten seeds. Basically, when they're thrown down, just run to the opposite side of the platform, group up, and AoE down them, and then put DPS in a Rag. At 40% health, Ragnaros casts Splitting Blow again, doing the same thing as he did before. This starts Phase 3, and it's intermission. Sons of Flames are back again, and the same mechanics apply. The only new thing is now that there's a lava scion. One lava scion forms on each side of the platform. We just had our tank pick both of them up. The only thing to watch out for is that they have a flame trail that they leave, and if the Sons of Flame walk through it, they'll get healed. So just make sure that doesn't happen. It's the exact same as the first intermission was. You start phase 3 with lava scions up from the intermission. Put your DPS on them. The main mechanics of phase 3 are living meteors. Ragnaros will occasionally summon a living meteor from the sky. You don't want to be in the area where it lands or else you'll die. You also don't want to put your melee DPS on it because they'll die too. Anyone who gets in its vicinity or its path dies. It'll then chase a player around. You can punt it back with ranged DPS, and that'll give you some control over the situation, but it's still pretty messy. To give you an example of how chaotic it can be, Balor dies here because he's running through the engulfing flames accidentally. Those engulfing flames, if you remember from phase 2, engulf a third of the platform randomly in flames, and if you step in it, you die. At this point, we would have had a kill if we'd managed to live a little more. It's basically a DPS race. You've got to burn Ragnaros before the living meteors overwhelm your group. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing some of this encounter on the PTR. I've attached the rest of Balor's footage for you guys to see. The only thing you should note is that if you see any clipping or sometimes see flashes, that's actually not a video editing error. It's the PTR. The platform Ragnaros is on is randomly attached to his room, so sometimes it spawns really weirdly. It's kind of hard to describe, but you'll see it and you'll be like, what is that? Yeah, that's the PTR, not me. Anyway, as I said, hope you enjoy, and you can watch the rest of the fight there.